We're live.
Hey everyone, if this is your first time tuning in, this is a live stream that Midshipmen do every week to answer your questions that you have, whether you're an alumni, a parent, or someone that's interested in the Naval Academy. So I'm Emily Lamphere, I'm the First Reg PAO. This is not Jeff, if you've tuned in before and you've been watching. This is Eric Aranda. He's from 27th Company and he's a youngster. So earlier this year we got a question about the prior enlisted process to getting into the Naval Academy, and Jeff and I are both direct, so we came here straight from high school. We have no idea what that process is like, but we wanted to follow up and answer that question for you guys. So Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to USNA.
Well, let's see here. I graduated high school in 2013 in California. I was son of another Navy enlisted officer. My dad spent, I want to say 7 years enlisted, then went to OCS at 13 officers. So I've always been around the naval background, right? Took me all over the place, lived in Japan, lived in Virginia, Florida, California. And so I knew that the Navy had all these opportunities, particularly the Naval Academy. So graduated high school in 13. I tried to, while in high school, I applied for the NRTC scholarship. I applied for the Academy and got denied from both. And so I knew I wanted to go Navy. I enlisted in I ended up enlisting in 2015, which took me to Machinist Mate A school. Graduated Machinist Mate A school in June of 2015, and then got assigned to the USS Chief in Japan. And while enlisted, I applied 2 more times. So really, 3 times is the charm. Japan was incredible. And fortunately, with the help of my chain of command, I got accepted in the Naval Academy in 2017. And here I am now. I finished Plebe year, first 6 weeks down in the youngster year, and I can't be more excited.
So tell me if I have this wrong, but you were about to be advanced to an E5 when you came to the Naval Academy. What made you want to come here when you were already so far along in the enlisted ranks?
Yeah, good question. So if you may not realize, E5 comes with a lot of it's a pretty big upgrade, honestly. It's more responsibility, more perks as well, more higher pay. Especially being in Japan, I had the opportunity to live in my own apartment in Japan. It would have been incredible. But I've always had my eyes set on the academy, and it would have been my last time eligible applying. But I knew what I wanted. I stayed determined, and fortunately, I made it on the last try.
That's awesome. Okay, so we have a couple other questions here for you. So compare your boot camp experience to your plebe summer experience.
Very, very different experiences. Oh my gosh. First off, now that I reflect on it, I'm really impressed with, of course, Naval boot camp, right, or recruit training, but especially with how Midshipmen run the Plebe Summer program. Mm-hmm. Now, the biggest difference might not be too obvious, but in recruit training, we have roughly anywhere from 60 to 100 recruits in a division, and we only have 3 recruit division commanders that are responsible for these 80 recruits, right? And then at the academy for Plebe Summer, we have, I think it's like at least 13 people directly overseeing your Plebe Summer training for a group of 80 midshipmen, right? And that means, well, there's a lot of supervision, I would say.
A lot more eyes on you.
A lot more eyes on you, and you just can't get a break during Plebe Summer. And not to say that you get breaks in boot camp, because boot camp has its own set of challenges that Plebe Summer doesn't. But that's one big difference. The second big difference is the tradition, the amount of tradition that is here at the academy. Like table salt, I had no idea what table salt was, but I mean, table salt's been going around for the past, probably the inception of the academy, I imagine.
What's table salt? Tell us. Tell the viewers that don't know what table salt is.
Wow, how do I sum up table salt? Okay, here's one. How's the cow? Emily, do you know how's the cow?
She walks, she talks, she's full of chalk. The lactic acid extracting from the female of the bovine species, something to the 9th
Highly
degree.
prolific.
Yeah, highly prolific to the
21st degree.
19th degree.
So table salt, it's like a set of, it's a question and a response, right? And then there must be at least a dozen of them. I know the Chiefs do it for the Chief initiation also. Gosh, there's a lot of ridiculous ones. Like, go ahead, ask me one. Let's see if I remember them.
Oh gosh. How long have you been in the Navy?
Okay, I knew it was.
Classic one.
So 3.5 years, right? But table salt says Ami Bloomin' life. Ami Bloomin' life. My mother was a mermaid. My father was King Neptune.
I was born on the
crest of a wave
and rocked in the cradle of the deep.
Cradle of the deep.
Like
oh my
amazed
gosh.
we still remember this. This is like 4 years
Trust
ago.
me, if asked me under any normal circumstances, I would know. But wow,
It's all
table
up here
salt.
somewhere.
Table salt it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Anything else different from boot camp and Plebe summer?
Yeah. So, of course, like different missions, right? Recruit training, teaching you how to be a basically trained sailor, right? So it's a lot of repetitive drills, right? Getting you more used to operating, being in an environment where you're operating under procedure. And the academy, Plebe summer program is really an introduction to the academy, right? The academy culture, right? Small stuff like table salt, like we just discussed, and it gets you ready to be a midshipman. And let me tell you, it's so different, so different.
And how old were you going into boot camp versus Plebe summer as a prior enlisted?
Okay, so I was 19 years old in boot camp, which I'd say maybe a little below average age for the recruits in boot camp. They tend to be around 18 to 22 years old. And then, of course, spent 2.5 years enlisted. That put me at 21 years old, 22 actually. I was 22 coming in. As a matter of fact, my birthday. Yeah, it was my birthday, and then the next day I was inducted into the academy. So it was
Happy birthday!
Oh, yeah, thank you. It was a good birthday present. Let me tell you, I couldn't be more happy. But even though I didn't know what to expect, but yeah, 22 in Plebe summer.
I bet you were a huge help to your classmates that had just come like me, straight from high school, had no idea what was going on, and you had already been through this routine before, so you weren't really fazed by it.
Yeah, I would say so. Not so much during Plebe summer because I was just as in the dark as these guys were. Matter of fact, I would say the Napsters had an advantage over me because they were more in tune with the academic culture than I was. Because for me, it was a big shock, honestly.
Yeah, because Napsters too are trained by midshipmen.
That's right.
So it's kind of a similar indoctrination process, whether you're at NAPS or at the academy. That's really interesting. Okay, what other questions do we have? What was your first step in applying for USNA from the fleet, and how did you learn about the opportunity to attend USNA as a prior?
Well, I've always heard that enlisted are able to apply, but I didn't really look into it as much as I did, at least in high school, until I started talking to the academy grads that were working in the USS Chief here, right?
Representing, I didn't even notice that. That's awesome.
Oh, that's right. Anchor up. So my division officer graduated the academy as my executive officer and commanding officer. Bunch of people, especially the engineering division officers. They encouraged me to apply, and then I started doing my own research, right? I read what's called the instruction, the enlisted to officer commissioning programs instruction, OpNav instruction 1428.1 Bravo. And really, that's what got the ball rolling. I entertained the idea. I did all my research. I told my chain of command, my immediate chain of command, that, hey, I really want this opportunity, and please support me. So that's really what got it started.
Yeah, very interesting. That's awesome. How does your prior enlisted experience influence your education or experience at USNA?
Well, like I said, I was really in the dark when I started Plebe summer, but all the pieces started to to fill in, particularly when you interact with the faculty, like your company officer or senior enlisted leader. You get to see a lot of purpose, I'd say, behind the small things you do at the academy, the routine, and a lot of the lessons that they teach you while at the academy, how it was applied by the officers that were in my chain of command, right? Let's see what a good example is. A lot of leadership philosophies, I'd say. Servant leadership, especially. That's something we learn. Oh yeah, learn in Plebe summer, and that expanded upon in our 4 years over here. And then there are, of course, summer trainings. Summer trainings is really good.
The best.
The best.
What did you do this summer?
Oh, this summer.
Uh-huh.
Wow, I had a great summer. So normally, rising third class midshipmen would go on a youngster cruise, right? But I already, I spent 2.5 years enlisted.
You kind of validated that.
I
you
validated
didn't need to be
it.
on a ship anymore.
Right, because I wanted to pursue so many other summer trainings provided at the academy. There are some really phenomenal ones. So this year I was able to do YP run, the YP squadron. We did in what's called land pack, right? Atlantic. I think it's called land pack, but it's 4 weeks on a YP where we go visit all the major cities in the East Coast, and we really learn the basics of seamanship and navigation. And we form our own little watch team. It's great stuff. So that was my second training.
And
actually.
what cities did you go to?
Wow, it started in Baltimore.
All the cities.
All the cities. And let me tell you, I'm a West Coast person, but that really exposed me to everything, all the best of the East Coast. Really, I had such a phenomenal time.
So you had never been up and down the East Coast before?
Never been. I've been
That's
maybe.
Really cool.
I did say I lived in Virginia as a kid, but really I was a kid. I didn't.
You don't remember?
I didn't remember. I had no autonomy, of course. But now, getting port calls in Boston and in New York.
Yeah.
Wow, it was a great time. So all the cities I've been to. First was Baltimore, and then it was what came? It was
Philadelphia.
It was Philly.
Some go to Philly.
We did go to Philly. We did go to New York. And then, did I say Boston? I think I did.
Yeah, Boston.
4 cities.
Were you there for Fleet Week?
No, I wasn't there
you
for
missed
Fleet Week. I missed Fleet Week.
That's still on my bucket list because I want to go to New York for Fleet Week.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 0 block training. Yeah, that's a steal. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Okay, what else? Do you see the inclusion of prior enlisted men and women in the brigade having an impact on midshipmen who have no prior military experience? What benefits do having prior enlisted midshipmen bring to the brigade as a whole?
It's all about experience, right, and how much of that experience you want to share when you're asked, right? Because a lot of, well, first of all, the amount of midshipmen coming in with prior enlisted experience, gosh, I want to say it's maybe 1 in 20. I don't have the numbers. I'm sorry I don't have the numbers. But
that's something we can look at later.
In my company, at least, there were only 2 of us. One was a former second class, just as I was, and he went to NAPS. So he already had that group growing. But myself, I was frocked to second class, and it was just the 2 of us, me and third class Louis. Shout out to King Louis. So I'd say maybe 5% of the brigade as well as prior enlisted experience, and they vary. I know some midshipmen who was in the Marines, served abroad. Plenty of people in the aviation communities.
Yep.
I myself from a surface engineering community. So really, we have a whole breadth of knowledge that we're able to share. Especially, for example, I got asked from a first year last year what he could expect getting familiar with a surface ship.
Yeah.
So I was able to share, some responsibilities you would be able to expect to see and stuff like that. So I'm always down to share my experience.
Yeah.
I like reflecting on it.
And I bet you have so much more knowledge about what makes a good leader, because we're going to graduate and be future officers, and we're going to lead enlisted sailors and Marines. and people can come to you and say, hey, like, what did you like in your first Divo? What did you not like in your first Divo? Have you ever had questions like that?
Absolutely. Well, first, I do think the best leadership that the Navy has to offer is in the academy. I have met incredible people, incredible midshipmen also, under the guidance of lieutenants to the vice admiral himself, if you get the chance to speak with them. And I see a lot from my former chain of command. Again, as I said, the pieces of the puzzle seem to fit in. Like, I would see, oh, well, my Divo would do this or that, in large part because of the culture of the academy. But very impressed with the academy, with the officers that I served under while enlisted. Very impressed.
All right. What's the biggest difference between life in the fleet and life at USNA? It's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And let me tell you, it's this part that really caught me off guard. It hit me like a truck. So while I was overseas serving on the USS Chief, we were an operational unit, right? Not a training environment. I mean, this was the real deal. Doing our engineering certifications, practicing minesweeping operations with both the South Korean Navy and the Japanese Self-Defense Force. I mean, I had responsibilities. I had equipment to maintain and operate that would serve a broader mission, right? And so then I come here to the Naval Academy, and it's one big training environment, right? Mm-hmm. It's an incredible training environment that I respect so much. But really, it's 4 years of preparation in order to do those functions of the Navy. And let me tell you, it doesn't stop. You wake up, you're training. You go do your extracurricular activity. You're still in a sense training, right? Mm-hmm.
Class, sports period.
Oh yeah, the whole 9 yards. Study period. You are training.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we have time for one more question. Do you have an idea of what community you might want to join after commissioning? Did your prior experience guide you in this choice? So you still have a lot of time left, but what are you thinking right now?
I do have a lot of time, but it doesn't seem like that much time really, because I'm getting all this exposure to all the different communities. So one thing that's great about the academy is that I do want to say all communities are represented, at least from the Navy, at the academy. Mm-hmm. The Marine Corps, I think you have the majority of communities represented here. And so then I'm doing my best to talk to officers from all the different communities. I think the one that really interests me right now is the intelligence community in the Navy, or maybe information professional or cryptography. That one looks like it looks like an incredible responsibility to have. But I wouldn't. Well, as far as my enlisted experience, I know more of what being a surface warfare officer entails. Mind you, I was on a minesweeper and not another class of ship. I've only served on a minesweeper, but I have a pretty good idea what it means to serve forward deployed in Japan, having a busy operational schedule. But I'm definitely keeping my eyes open.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to returning to the service community, but really I'm taking this opportunity to meet everybody in all these different communities.
That's exactly what you should be doing. But Eric, thank you so much for coming. I know everyone that's watching really appreciates your perspective, and you were able to answer a lot of great questions. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right. Time for us to go study. We'll see you guys next week.